What's good, my people? Welcome into No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Little, Big Nick the Quick. With me, as always, we had to do the late Monday night for the early morning drop because we got things to do and a lot to talk about. Missed y'all last week. UConn wins the national title, beats up on SDSU, just like they beat up on everybody else. 20-point wins throughout the tournament. We got to talk the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark situation. A lot of stuff going on around that. It was a better national championship game than the men's. We'll break that down. Then NBA playoffs are loading. This is the last week of the NBA. The season is officially done April 9th. The play-in starts after that. I want to get Nick's. This is last call for some future. So I'm gonna talk to him about the East. We'll talk about the West. We'll talk about the title. And you know how we do. We'll bleed into some other stuff. No catch up. Sports Talk via Chicago. Let's get to it.
Now look at Mossy. Really? Oh, so that's how you're going to play it. You going to do this? Okay, fine. That's all I needed. That's all I needed for him to do that. And it became personal with me.
Big Nick the Quick, what's good?
How we feeling?
Man, it feels like you can feel it in the air, the Trump indictment. You can feel it.
Oh man.
It's floating in the air over here.
my man said to get back to New York today, man. They had to answer.
They said they saw Trump's plane land at LaGuardia.
I don't know, man. I think he's still bulletproof, man. We'll see.
I saw a dude in the shirt today said Ultra Extreme MAGA.
Ultra Extreme MAGA. No questions asked.
Ultra extreme MAGA.
Ultra extreme. I'm not
don't
just
get
MAGA.
it twisted.
I'm not just MAGA. I'm extra MAGA. Max. 2 X's.
UEM.
Come on. Overdose on MAGA.
That's funny, bro. Let's jump right into it.
What a country.
National championship is in the books. March Madness is now packed up and done. Shout out Jim Nance doing his last Final Four March Madness tournament championship game.
The legends are turning in, man. No more Jim Nance. We've seen a few heads retire over the last few years, man. All of our childhood guys, man. They're all gone. It's time for the new blood. Who's the new? Who are like the new? Who do you think is like the long term?
It'll be Iron Eagle.
Okay,
Iron Eagle's coming in to do.
You can't even call Buck new, can you? Buck's been around forever, but he's
Iron Eagle's been around for a minute too.
You think Iron Eagle slides into the Nance role?
Yeah, definitely.
Tarico Masters. Well, Tarico's he can't because he's on NBC now, or he's on
Iron Eagle. 100%. I'm telling you right now.
Iron Eagle takes the Masters.
I think it might be even official. No, Nance is keeping the Masters. He's keeping NFL.
Oh, he's just done with the college. Yeah.
He's just.
I don't blame him.
The college talk. So let's jump into it because the UConn Huskies absolutely destroyed everybody they saw. They get the dub 76-59. Yep. And you guys know us. We're not the biggest college basketball guys, but I did, of course, watch, and I do want to get Nick's take on the game overall. Pretty garbage game.
Yep.
Outside of like maybe
a couple minutes there,
in the second half when they cut it to like a 6-point game. Mm-hmm. Really, really bad matchup for San Diego State. They don't have any buckets.
No,
they don't have any guys that can really, really fill it up on the offensive end, and you need that. What do you think overall of the quality of the hoops in the title game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was for UConn. I think just like the game against Miami, their size was an issue. Whether it was what's the guy's Sanganon?
Sanogo.
Shout out Sanogo. Shout out Sanogo. Yeah. Shout out Klingon. Was that the other guy's name? The other big dude they had, the white dude, Donovan Klingon.
I don't even see. Go ahead. Yeah, Klingon.
Yeah, him. So those two guys, I think, just like in the Miami game, they gave them problems. I think they couldn't do anything about their size, like you said, just style wise, how UConn plays. I think they just play so disciplined defensively and offensively. San Diego State had no one that could take over the game. And again, I think it really just came down to that size. Like they just couldn't handle those guys inside between those two big dudes. And even though the one dude doesn't score a bunch, again, just like in the Miami game, man, he eats up everything at the rim. He affects a lot of different things going on there.
Yeah.
And without that guy who could kind of just take over for San Diego State, they never really had a chance. They cut it. shout out to them, man. They played hard. They cut the lead in there for a little bit, but it was never really a matchup. It was a boring game, if we're being completely honest.
That
really
was
boring game.
Yeah, it was a nightmare matchup for San Diego State. They bumped into a team. They're long, physical, want to bang, and that's exactly what UConn does with better players.
Yeah,
they're essentially UConn is essentially San Diego State with 5 stars
for sure, and
blue,
two
blue
big guys.
chippers. Yeah, and Donovan Klingon and Sonogo are to the 2 bigs that did make an impact. Do you think Sonogo got NBA availability? No minutes?
It's too small.
No minutes in the NBA?
Too small. So he's like 6'8".
He got a little touch to him.
6'8". If he can
6'9".
if he can find a couple, guys like that, he's not going to be scoring like that in the NBA. So you got to find something else. You got to find your niche. You got to be like a Draymond. You know what I mean? Draymond was an undersized guy like that, but he gets to the league and he's obviously able to defend multiple positions. You could run the offense through him. For like 2 years, he could shoot threes. Or when Draymond could hit threes for a little bit.
Coburn from Illinois, that's kind of like what he reminds me of.
Coburn,
he's better than Coburn.
And Coburn can't really. But Coburn was 7 feet, but he's one of those guys. You put those guys in the pick and roll, and it's over with. That's the problem. If you can't guard in the pick and roll in the NBA as a big, and if you just get put in the blender all the time, it's over
triple-double like Jokic.
Unless you're one of those dudes who can just run the floor at an elite level, block shots, and grab rebounds. I actually think that Klingon could probably give you 8 to 10 in the NBA.
Yeah?
He runs the floor and block shots.
He does run the floor well. He's 7'2", 265. He's a freshman, too.
And he runs the floor and block shots. So it's just like, it's that Daniel Gafford type situation. Like, hey, man, just literally run the floor, block shots, be available, put your hands up, disrupt things in the paint, and you can play 8 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, and you straight.
Yep.
And you're a freshman. He could fuck around, turn into a little monster. He was solid.
No, go now. Go now. No better time than right now. Your stock will never be higher. Ask them boys from North Carolina. Your stock will never be higher.
Yo, you know what we were talking about, and then we'll move off of this and then go over to the Reese Clark situation. I thought this was interesting. I brought it up the other day on the betting exchange. So basically, with this new NIL. If you got a pocket full of money, say you're a billionaire, you could essentially pull up to any major program and control it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'll give you guys $20 million. And this is what I want in return, essentially.
Well, you chop it up amongst the players. Technically, the schools can't have anything to do with the NIL other than advising you in like a loose type way.
Right.
Yeah,
obviously
yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, couldn't you just pull up, like, say me and you had a business and we were business partners and we were worth $2-3 billion, and we just wanted to fuck around and make ASU the best basketball team out.
Sure.
Couldn't we just pull up and be like, yeah, we got 50 mil.
So
we guarantee 50 mil over the next 5 years.
So
this is how we're going to do it. And we come up with a plan for it. And now the only difference than like owning the team, like in the NBA, is obviously you wouldn't get any revenue from it. It's not a revenue play, but you would get tons of power. You could be a political figure in the community. You could do the whole thing. You could start buying up stuff around the stadium, around campus. I think that's a really interesting thing that I haven't heard anybody bring up.
Or you can just have your team win and you can have bragging rights. I mean, for some of these guys, that's what it's about. So listen, it's funny. It's funny you bring this up, right? So think about this. Who is the number one complainer about the NIL amongst college coaches?
You talking about in hoops or football?
Football. Who hates it?
You're not talking about Saban, are you?
Saban absolutely hates it. Why does Saban hate the NIL? Who's coming to town? And whose fan base has that kind of money and is willing to splash it around like that? And who's coming to town in 2 years? Who's going to be in the SEC?
I don't know who you're talking about. Oh, Texas? You talking about?
Yes.
Oil money. I see.
Oil money is coming to town.
Yeah, that's the big athletic.
It doesn't
it's a big
matter.
Budget.
Doesn't matter who Saban's recruiting. You cannot compete with the oil money. And those are the type of boys who are going to come in and do exactly what you're talking about. Texas oil money. They're going to say, hey, you know what? You saw what was the 30 for 30? Come on, man. They were paying cats $1 million in the 70s. These oil boys are different. So
Texas, Oklahoma, 2024.
Yes. Oil money. Black gold.
I haven't heard anybody really say that, I guess, out loud, or maybe I'm just not paying close enough attention, but I think that's really interesting. Because like you could just become a massive power player in a program in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
If you're like, yeah.
I think it's already happening.
I guarantee, yeah. Let me just pull up my alma mater. Here's 15, 20 million a season.
Didn't Arch Manning walk in with $8 million worth of NIL? Where's that coming from? It was like 8 to 10 million worth of NIL coming in.
I know Bronny's was number one on that list that came out.
They said his valuation is $7 million.
Valuation,
I think Arch's money is already there. Same with Quinn. Who was the guy last year? Quinn Ewers? Is that the quarterback? The other guy that came in?
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
It's already happening.
So I think that's really interesting.
For sure. Absolutely.
It's a little hobby. If you're a billionaire, to go just make your alma mater into a powerhouse purely by essentially running it like a professional organization and going to get the best guys via the dollar.
And I think another thing with the NIL, since we're on the subject, is you kind of saw the effect of it in this tournament, right? Like I think if some of these, like I brought up North Carolina, for some of these like fringe second round guys, if you play at a big enough program where you're getting enough exposure, it's like, hey, do I go back to college for a year? Or do I chase a non-guaranteed NBA deal? It's like, yeah, I'll go back for a year. Like Baycott's a perfect example, right? Not in a backfiring because they didn't make the tournament, but last year he's on Carolina.
Sure.
Obviously, they make it all the way to the title game. He comes back, probably gets a ton of NIL this year, which is going to pay him more than a non-guaranteed second round deal. Which is
it definitely gives you more flexibility.
Yeah, you do the college thing for another year. So
you can do the college thing for another year.
Yeah, why not?
And actually, it's going to be very beneficial for guys that aren't going to make an impact in the league. Drew Timme.
Yeah. Yes. Drew Timme's swimming in NIL. He's rich. Yes. Drew Timmy's rich. Don't cry for Drew Timme and wherever he may or may not get drafted. Drew Timme is swimming in Spokane, Washington, NIL. He's the man out there.
Yeah.
Drew Timme has a crib, paid, cash, cars, jewelry.
Caitlin Clark.
Swimming in it in Des Moines. Are you serious? She's the queen
perfect
of Des Moines.
Segue.
Angel Reese swimming in money. Real quick before we get off the tournament real quick.
Yeah.
Wasn't it funny though that this year obviously was a great tournament, a lot of parity, a lot of random squads getting in there, but at the end of the day, who wins? The team that's won the most times since the year 2000, the UConn Huskies, right? After all that, the Blue Bloods always win.
Yeah,
always. Even San Diego State getting to the championship game,
just
right?
Got better players, man. You just need players, dog. And if you can't get them, as the years go on with this NIL element, it might change quite a bit. But yeah,
and the transfer portal for sure. You saw the transfer portal this year. I mean, you saw how many juniors and seniors are making an impact in a lot of these programs that they're getting on both sides, right? LSU had nine new players last year. I think she said 6 of them were transfers.
Yeah, so, no doubt. All right, let's do it. Let's talk about it. It's the talk of the town. Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese was talking that shit.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark was talking that shit. Angel Reese talked a little more shit. It was a little more demonstrative with it. Was a little more in your face with it.
Flagrant.
And what do you know? People had a problem with it. Big Nick the Quick. What I sent out a tweet on my thoughts on the entire situation. It can be summed up very easily. This can be taken a lot of different routes. It could be taken the race road. It could be because that's an element to it, I believe. It can take the sportsmanship road. How did you evaluate the overall situation and the blowback of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on like whose particular criticism of it you look at. Like, I think some people were real flagrant with it, and I think that's when you got to kind of have the side eye. Like, okay, like why are you guys putting this type of energy?
You talking about Portnoy?
Yeah, Portnoy. People like that. Yeah, that to me was like super flagrant and kind of ridiculous. When at the end of the day, you're talking about a 20-year-old college kid. Like it was what she did, like taunting. Yeah, whatever, man. Like I get it.
For those who don't know, Portnoy said he called her a classless piece of shit.
Piece of shit is strong. He could have said classless and left it at that. Like the piece of shit is like such a flagrant term to me. Like that shit is wild. So that's where I kind of had a side eye. As far as people are not liking what she did, I don't have a problem if you didn't like what she did. But attacking her character because of it, going at her with all that wild shit because of it, and acting like Caitlin Clark didn't do similar shit, or like players don't do similar shit like that all the time, to me was just a little bit ridiculous. Here's the thing. I wouldn't even have noticed it. Like, I saw it happen, and I saw when they replayed it during the broadcast, but I wouldn't have thought twice about it if it didn't become such a big thing afterwards. So, like, that's kind of how I looked at it in the moment. I was like, that's funny. She's talking shit. You know what I mean? And then I kind of moved on. And then next thing I know, an hour later, it's the talk of the town, and it's getting talked about all over the place. But for me, it wasn't that big of a deal. I didn't have a problem with it. We like shit like that. It's funny. We do applaud it in certain athletes, and we hate it in others. Like, right after I tweeted that, I was like, some of y'all, the same people love McGregor. You know what I mean? McGregor's talking about people's wives being in his DMs and all this type of shit. You know, like way more flagrant shit. You know what I'm saying? Talking about people's religion and their fathers and their dead friends and things. Like, come on, man. And like, all she did was run up on her, talk a little bit of shit, point her ring, whatever. I don't think she got in her face. She didn't physically touch her. She wasn't calling her out of her name. Like, she could have been way worse. She just did the "you can't see me" and "I got my ring." The worst part about it is she kind of walked after her. When I see words like stalked, it's like, come on, man. Like, pump the brakes. Nobody's stalking anybody on the basketball court. Like, let's chill. So, like, it's all overblown, man. Like, let her be happy, man. Come on, man. I don't got time for that shit. When certain folks do it, they call it passion. I'll put it that way. That tells you what I think about the situation.
When I tweeted out, if you think basically what Angel Reese did was classless, bottom line, and what it comes down to is y'all people that are thinking like that are soft. You're just soft. This is basketball. She just put up 15, 10, and 5 and won the national championship on national TV to the biggest audience the game on the ladies' side has ever seen. One of the biggest basketball games ever, drawing one of the biggest crowds or audiences of all time from a hoops game. And you got steamrolled. You was talking that shit, and you got steamrolled. After that, you just got to eat whatever comes. Was it a little extra? Sure. But you don't get to decide what the other person does after you were talking crazy. Like you said, she didn't put her hands on her. She didn't call it out of her name.
Nope.
Some people might say what she did was a little corny. It's a little over the top. I do lean that way a little bit. But overall, that shit is not a big deal at all. Y'all are soft. The fact that you're calling her classless and going down this whole line of basically calling her less of a human being than Caitlin Clark. That's really what they were getting at. It was almost like Caitlin would never do something.
Caitlin would never do that.
She might talk a little shit, but it's very classy.
She's competitive.
It's very it's very classy and it's not done like this though.
Well, and that's when it gets
be done like that.
That's when it's at that other level where it's like, okay, we know what's going on here. You know what I mean? We understand what's going on. And I don't even like to blow the whistle like that, but like, I call it what I see. Call it like I see it. It's clear what's going on there with stuff like that. You know what I mean? Is anybody surprised? No. It's the usual suspects that have a problem with it.
Yo, and then let's talk about the whole Portnoy Barstool thing.
Yeah, what was that?
For him to call anything classless is absolutely
out of
fucking it's some of the most contradicting shit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
The amount of like bullshit classless content that they have put out over the years and the comments that they've made over the years.
Shock value shit too. Just shock content. It's Jerry Springer type shit. Yeah.
Yeah. It's classless is like an insanity that he could even utter those terms. So that whole thing is whatever. I just don't understand why everybody always has the time to get so worked up over this shit. We're talking about hoops.
Yep.
And a girl talking shit in a hoops game?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, what are we talking about? It's crazy.
Yeah, we should be talking about the game. We should be talking about how good of a tournament or how good of a Final Four it was for them. We should be talking about Angel Reese. We should be talking about Caitlin Clark in terms of basketball. But instead, we've spent like the whole day after this talking about that. We got to hear everybody's opinion on it. And then you have and then it's like, it's so funny because
Nick, hold on. This just came to me I guess I didn't really think about it because I don't think this way because we typically don't. But going into the game now, was it just always white versus black from the jump?
Yes. Oh yeah. Of
This
course
was Larry
game
Bird. This was Larry Bird, Magic Johnson.
Look at this. Look
in
at
the
Iowa.
female game.
Iowa had, I think, one black player on their squad, or one or two, by my count. But
but I didn't really think about it like.
And then LSU had the GPS
the white
squad
folks are supporting Iowa, and the black folks are supporting LSU. I was just thinking of like, I'm looking forward to seeing a good game from Caitlin Clark, and she's been going crazy. But these girls from LSU are big; they rebound, and I think now that I think about it,
I was going for LSU.
With that to happen, it might have just like at the core of it. It's like, yeah, white folks wanted Iowa to win, black folks wanted LSU to win. Yeah. The black folks won, and then they were talking shit, and they didn't like that.
Such is life. Hey, wait. So, you know what I mean? I mean, you just checkmate.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, man. I don't think that way. I think, and I'm not saying I went into
it necessarily like that. I was pulling for LSU. I just like the LSU situation more, but
But yeah, so
being a Midwest guy, I'm not going to pull for Iowa.
Yeah, I actually was thinking about betting Iowa, so I might have been on Iowa, but yeah. Anyway,
yeah,
I do want to talk about Caitlin Clark for a second because her league comp in game to me is Dame Lillard. Like, she really reminds me of Dame Lillard.
Yeah,
I think they play I was going to say the exact same game, but they play the same style. Like that, she reminds the feel for the game. Like, did you watch the game? Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a time in the second half where they made a run. They went on that 12-0 run. Clark came down and pulled like a 30-footer.
Yeah.
And if it would have went in, I think they would have came back and ended up like going ahead. It was the feel, like people that don't really watch hoops aren't going to pick up on that type of shit. But the feel for her to know if this goes down, I could really turn this shit over. Is similarly to like what you see from Steph and Dame and those type of guys. And just like the style just reminds me of Dame. Pull up from 35, can dish when necessary.
See, I'll stop you there if I can.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's funny because as I was watching, the last few games of her, I was thinking about this very same thing. And it's really easy to fall on, I think, Steph and Dame. And I think from a shot profile perspective, from offensive game, yeah, for sure. The only thing to me that's different about her is I feel like she's a better passer. Like some of the passes that she makes, like, yeah, I get it. Like Steph and Dame, they get assists, but they don't make necessarily like spectacular passes. Like a lot of her routine passes that she makes and the needles that she's able to thread. Like
could it be Trae Young?
That's kind of where I went with it, but like minus like the complete selfishness, but like the ability to make the spectacular pass, right? But even like her routine passes, like some of those passes that she's ever to make when the bigs were cutting, and her bigs were great. Shout out Warnock and Sasazinski or whatever the hell her name is. They're both cold. Sazerac, whoever she is, she had fucking game. SZA, shout out her, man.
Yeah.
But again, some of those passes that she was making, like as I'm watching her pass, I'm like, yeah, I want to call her Dame or Steph, but I feel like she's a better passer. Like I feel like that almost disrespects how good of a passer she is, right? So like, I think that Trae Young or even like, man, I don't know. Like I was trying to think of it because the shooting is clearly like Dame. I think it's more Dame than Steph to me.
Yeah, shout out Xander. He said a lot of college basketball coverage coming from college haters. Yeah, no, I'll keep it real with you.
Soak it up.
Because what you just watched was some garbage ass basketball.
For sure.
For the title. But yes, we gotta watch the title games. You know what I'm saying? We gotta watch the title games. But on that note, let's move over to the NBA. Speaking of Trae Young, speaking of Dame, those guys are not going to make any noise in the playoffs. But I do want to talk about some squads that will. Last call here on some NBA.
Dallas.
Say it again.
The Dallas.
No. Last call here on some NBA playoff futures. We can talk about Dallas here in a second, but I want to talk about. Let's talk about the title first, and then we'll make our way down.
Yeah.
Right now at DraftKings, to win the title, the favorite is the Bucks at plus 310, the Celtics are plus 320, and the Suns are plus 450. Which teams, who are you looking at? Who do you think has the best value? Who do you think wins the title? Is the Bucks at
They're
plus
the best. Who has the
310?
best what? Best value?
Oh,
Oh
the
man.
best number, I guess.
I like.
Who
Hey,
do you think
listen,
wins the title?
Milwaukee.
Yeah,
That's the best number you're gonna get it at. So just take it now.
plus 310. You think it's
Yep,
you think it's
yeah.
it only gets worse.
Listen, man. I you know how we feel about Boston, right? Like we both think that Boston is the most fragile team in the NBA. And like I said on Twitter, don't look into their 40-point drubbing of the Bucks the other night. That was the Bucks' third game in 4 nights, second on a back-to-back. Boston was absolutely desperately needed to win that game, whereas Milwaukee had just gotten home off a road trip and were chilling. It was the classic letdown spot. Like I didn't watch your show that day. I don't know if you picked that, but it was like the clear, Boston for sure was obviously going to win that game. So I wouldn't look too far into that. I don't think Philly can beat Milwaukee in 7 games. I don't think Cleveland can beat them in 7 games. And then the rest of the East has no chance of beating them in 7 games. So I think they're going to march to the finals. And I don't know any team out West that can beat them. I think that if you want to talk about value, like true value, the value is at Phoenix at plus 450. It's a roll of the dice.
Now, hold on. So chill there because we're going to get to the West.
Okay.
But,
yeah,
Milwaukee. I mean –
I don't think anybody else. I think Milwaukee runs through the East. I think, yeah.
I feel like I hate to say exactly what you just said, but that's how I feel.
Shout out Xander. I didn't know that. When you said Xander, I didn't realize.
Yeah. Shout out Xander
On the stream.
And I've been out on Boston. I'm actually like really using my 2 eyes, and I've been watching them for the last month. I don't think I've missed the Celtics game in quite some time, actually.
They're always on fucking TV.
And they worry me quite a bit. I also like to back teams, especially like the Milwaukee Bucks right now, where there is absolutely no noise on the outside about anything.
Nothing.
All they're doing is just waiting for the playoffs to start.
Yep.
Like when I saw that picture of them with their legs crossed, this is like these boys can't wait for the fucking playoffs to start.
So the Boston game should not worry you.
Like, get this bullshit, this last 6, 7, 8 games, get this shit out of the way. Let's get to the playoffs. Now, they're obviously going to get that extra little couple 4 or 5 days for the play-in off.
Yep.
Before they get going, so they'll get some rest there. Middleton, he's been playing really well, but they're still trying to limit his minutes on back-to-back and stuff like that.
Drew had 53 the other night.
Dude, I just said this on BetMGM tonight earlier. The reason why I'm worried about Boston is because to be honest, I don't know how much Jaylen Brown trusts the Celtics and the organization and how he feels about them. I think there's question marks there. Sure, I think.
What? Have you seen his interviews recently?
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's clear, right?
Clearly does not want to be there.
Yeah, it's clear, right?
So the organization or anything is upset about them firing Udoka, among other things.
Yeah,
maybe wants the ball in crunch time every once in a while. I don't know.
Yeah, and he doesn't get the ball in crunch time no matter what happens. Yeah. So that's another issue. But yeah, I think there's some noise there.
For sure.
They still have a rookie head coach.
Yep.
No matter how good Mazzulla's been doing since he came on full time, he's still going to be a rookie when it comes to the playoffs. Jason Tatum just continues in big spots to come up kind of small here, especially in crunch time down the stretch. So Malcolm Brogdon addition is going to be massive. But also, I said this last year, Robert Williams, Time Lord, rushing back last year and getting his meniscus removed and cut out the tear instead of sewn up and repaired seems to be like it might have been the wrong decision. He's never been fully back since then. Do me a favor and look up how many games he played this year, Robert Williams, So that also worries me.
You
Now,
mean you don't like Luke Cornett having to play minutes for them? Luke Cornett shouldn't be playing 10 to 15 minutes on an NBA contender?
Now, they shoot 42, 43 threes a game.
Yeah.
If they're going to hit at a 40% clip, then yeah, they're probably going to win. But that's very difficult to do, especially when they're going to have to deal with Milwaukee. Now, back to Milwaukee. The kicker in this entire situation is Drew Holiday, Drew Holiday, is essentially putting people on notice that if necessary, I'll explode for 40.
Yeah.
And that was never the case before.
No.
He has done this multiple times now, where he is having just offensive explosions, shooting with a lot of them being jump shots.
It was 20 for 30 on that 51-point game.
You understand what I'm saying? So that is crazy.
Yeah.
Because if he is able to do that, and then Middleton continues to play how he's been playing, which has been efficient, and he's healthy, and he plays all these games here, and then don't let them get a couple easy series, right? Like in the first round and the second round soft too. And then they start playing the big boys, and they haven't even had a tough game yet. Similar to what they did last year against the Bulls, where they just went into Chicago and we're winning every game by 40.
Yeah.
So that's when it gets spooky. I don't even have to mention Giannis. I don't even have to talk about that.
Well, and at the end of the day, they still have the best player in any series that they're going to go into.
No question.
They have the best player in any series that they're going to go into, hands down.
Grayson Allen is also playing incredible.
Yeah.
So
Middleton playing himself back into shape, like you said. Brook Lopez having a career year. We talked about Brook Lopez having a career year at 33.
Triple J back to being the leader for DPOI, by the way, minus 150.
Yeah.
So that flipped. We were talking about that.
Flipped right back over. Yeah. No, I think Milwaukee is clearly the team to beat in the East, and the team to beat in the entire league for everything you just laid out perfectly. Like and again, Boston, big question marks there. Philadelphia, look, we still have to see Philly do it in the playoffs. Like I love how they're playing. I love how Harden's playing this year, but it's always going to be a question, when that's been your reputation for that many years, and especially recently. You know what I mean? He just shrinks in big moments, so we got to see them do it in a playoff series. I have no doubt that Embiid's going to bring it, but Philly has a lot of guys that can go either way, right? Like Tobias Harris is the ultimate either way guy, and it usually goes the wrong way in big spots.
Dude, I couldn't.
Maxey, like we believe in Maxey.
Oh, I believe in Maxey.
Yeah. But Maxey can still be a hit or miss type guy, right? Like, I mean, again, they got a lot of different guys who, if it goes right, good. But even against Milwaukee, they don't have the best player in the series. That's the problem. Giannis, and we saw it, when he went for the 50-piece in the closeout game. Like, when he wants to, the thing with Giannis is, I think even though he averages 31, 12, and 6, like, he plays on cruise control sometimes. And there's times that he knows he can absolutely turn it up a level, and Giannis has another gear. And, like, that's the scary thing about him. He can turn that on in a playoff game. And I just love how they're going into the playoffs this year. Again, working Middleton back into shape. Jay Ruse showing up that he can be a legitimate number 2, number 3 guy whenever they need him. Guys like Allen. Jay Crowder is still there. Bossman 99 might make an appearance.
15-5 since the All-Star break of the Bucks. That's best record in the NBA.
Yep.
So, I mean, the way they are pulling up to the playoffs is especially spooky for those guys. No question.
Exactly what you want.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the West, because that's where shit is extremely wide open.
Yeah.
We got, of course, we have the Nuggets at 1, Memphis at 2, Sacramento at 3. Then we got KD. I was listening to the Hoops Collective with Bontemps, Windhorse. I can't remember who the other guy was on there, but I read something that in the last 30 games, going back to Brooklyn, that Kevin Durant's been a part of, he's 25-5.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he's on the floor, pack it up.
Yeah, you're gonna win.
Like you're gonna win. So that's a big issue for the teams out in the West. Who do you think wins the West, And who do you give me? Who you think outside? Give me. I guess a play that's not. I guess some value. We had an argument. For those who don't know, me and Nick the Quick had an argument about the word value. But give me a team that outside of maybe Phoenix, I guess, because I think that's where you're leaning.
Sure.
That is interesting.
Well, I mean, interesting from a value perspective, like they're not a favorite right now.
No,
like, you want to know
just
something? I'm gonna say something that's actually crazy, and I wouldn't think that I would say this, but like if we're going for like a curveball, I don't know if I want to play the Lakers in a 7-game series. Those trades end up working out nice for them.
Is that where you're at?
They've played well since the break, man. Like when the noise, talk about noise quieting down. After LeBron kind of passed the scoring record, they made those deals. And even though he got hurt and missed some time, they've quietly been a solid team, like way better than they were in the first half.
No,
of the
very
year.
good.
Like very good. And they still have guys. So like I think that if they get into that 6th spot, and that's where you avoid that play-in, right?
Yeah.
Like if they avoid that play-in, I think that they're a spooky matchup for say like Sacramento, right? That means they play Sacramento in that, or would they play the winner of the 7-8? I forget how this shit goes with the playoffs.
No, the 3 would play the 6.
So they'd play Sacramento. Like they can beat Sacramento in 7 games.
Yeah.
And then you get a Lakers team with momentum. You get LeBron James with momentum. And I can't believe I'm saying this, considering my stance on them all year has been like, don't talk to me about the Lakers. But I think that that's a team that you really don't want to see and get them going. But overall, I think it's Phoenix, man. I think Phoenix is the best team heading in, right? I think they've dealt with some injuries this year. They've obviously shuffled up the lineup, bringing in Durant. Then he got hurt right away. But if he stays healthy the rest of the year, and I get that that's a big if, but if he stays healthy the rest of the year, that's the best team in the West, hands down.
Where do you think the Lakers are ranked wise to win the West on the odds board, on the board at DraftKings? Like, are they 4th? Are they 5th?
Third or 4th?
So they're 6th. Phoenix, the Suns are plus 210. The Nuggets are plus 330. The Warriors are plus 550. The Grizzlies are plus 600. The Clippers are plus 850.
So, do you play road games in the playoffs?
And the Lakers are plus 900. Yeah,
I just want to know if you play road games in the playoffs.
Shout out my guy John Henson. He's very bullish on the Warriors.
Yeah,
I am not. I'm out on the Warriors, actually.
100%.
Because let's talk about the Warriors. Big news comes out today. Steve Kerr says, Maple Jordan, the man himself, Andrew Wiggins, has been practicing and looks like he's going to make a return. Report also is that the personal reasons were some health reasons for his father and not the rumored.
What's he going to do? Come out and say that that's the person?
His lady was out running with his buddy. That's a rumor that apparently has been debunked. Now, my thing is, they've been one of the worst road teams in the NBA. Wiggins is not going to come off the street and just be back to being the best perimeter defender in the NBA like he was in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen like that.
Not a man known for his passion. So
yes,
he's not running. He's not running in there like, come on, guys, I can't wait. I've been out. Like, he's got to get going.
That's one thing where it's like, oh, Wiggins is back. Yeah, give me the Warriors. Like, nah, he's not. I don't think he's just gonna walk off the street and make a big impact like that. Now, I got an interesting team that it seems no one's talking about. I love the Kings. I love what they're doing. That's not playoff basketball.
Very beatable in 7.
And they're going to be happy to be there. The games are going to be half-court games. And that shit that they do on defense is out.
Pound them in game 1, though.
You think? You've been saying
I don't even need to see the line. I'll take that.
It's a double-digit victory.
Yeah, like a poker when you bet the blinds. I'm betting the blinds on that one. I don't even need to see it.
They hang in 140, huh?
Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, they're gonna absolutely smash in game 1. But after that, once you're able to adjust to that, like again on a night-to-night basis, Sacramento can catch you slipping. But when you're able to slow them down and you're game planning for them over 7 games, they're going to have some issues. And I think that's why they don't want to see a team like the Lakers, because I think the Lakers can grind them out over 7 games for sure.
Yeah.
LeBron's too smart. LeBron's too smart to get caught up in that style of basketball for a whole series.
I think I got to take the Suns to win the West. But just we've said this multiple times. What Durant brings to the table is, first of all, the D is going to be there. He's probably the best defender on that team now. Maybe Ayton, I guess you can argue, but he's right there. No doubles on Book, no doubles on Ayton, no doubles on Chris. It's just a mid-range nightmare.
Yep.
So I really like Phoenix.
Death by mid-range.
Yes,
literally.
I like Phoenix to come out of the West because in the half court they're going to be lethal and they're going to be able to get buckets, and that's what it comes down to in the West or in the NBA in the playoffs. I shouldn't say the West, but the Grizzlies at plus 600. The Memphis Grizzlies, I think that number is too long, Nick.
For sure. They've been playing. They've sneakily, talk about the noise dying down, have been playing extremely well.
14-7.
Yeah.
Since the All-Star break.
I think they've won 11 of 13, I think.
Ja Morant is back in the fold now. And quietly, it was never a hoops thing. Remember this.
It was an alcohol thing.
He was out kicking it. He seems back and locked in. Now they're going to finish the year and probably be the number 2 defensive rated team in the NBA. They're still been running that way the last 15 games, top 10 defensive rating.
Brutal on the road though.
Another team that's brutal on the road.
But listen, those problems might be. I mean, but like not to be funny,
more cleaned up. Yeah, no funny shit.
Funny if partying and all that shit was the issue. Well, where do you party the most? On road trips. You know what I mean? When you're on the road, you're living. So if they clean up some of that shit, like again, one of the rumors was that Steven Adams had to have a meeting with them about how to behave on the road. Like, hey, this ain't it. You know what I mean? So if they are cleaning up some of that shit, that road record can flip real quick if you're in the hotel at night.
Now I want to talk about the addition
dinner
that kind of went under the radar a little bit at the trade deadline. Everyone was talking about D'Angelo Russell. Everyone was talking about, what the Lakers were doing and what Russell Westbrook was going to do. And that was what got most of the attention at the deadline. But Memphis added Luke Kennard. They desperately needed 3-point shooting, especially in the half court. They add Luke Kennard, who can flat out shoot it. That's what he was doing with the Clippers. That's what he was doing with Duke. That's what he does. Yep. They add him, and he gives them some space in the half court. In 23 games with the Grizzlies, he's 63 for 120 for 3.
Yeah.
53%. He hit 10 threes the other night. He was 10 of 11 from 3.
Yeah.
If he could get Ja space and continue to knock down shots like he's been doing, and they continue to play defense led by Jaren Jackson Jr. like they've been doing.
He can handle the ball a bit too.
They could go to the Western Conference Finals.
Yep.
I truly believe that they could get there and compete. Plus 600. And now say what you want about how young they are. They were there. This is their second go round now. They were in the playoffs last year and they were competing. So that helps as well.
My only question with them though, who's guy number 2?
Oh, it's Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane, no doubt.
You trust Desmond Bane to be the second best scorer on a Western Conference Finals team? Okay.
Yeah, I do. He can fill it up.
I like Desmond Bane.
Yeah, their offense is a little more system too. Like it's
relying on Ja going off as well.
Also, but when Ja goes out, they don't fall off too much. Tyus Jones comes in and he runs a similar type offense, and they still win games.
Yeah, it's a good backup point.
So, hey, and also say what you want about Dylan Brooks. You need a dickhead like that in the playoffs.
Yeah,
it helps tremendously.
Hey, the dynasty starts after him though.
Yeah,
that's one of the best pieces. That's one of the most cold. Yeah, that's one of the most cold. I was thinking about that the other day. That's actually one of the most cold-blooded things you can say. Hey, the dynasty starts after you.
God. That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy. That.
But you need those type of guys in the playoffs. They'll take a lot of heat off a lot of other people. They're needed. They're necessary.
For sure. Oh yeah. You
So
need
I
a
think
wild card.
plus 600. If you want a flyer on the West, I would take the Memphis Grizzlies and then figure out a way to potentially hedge down the road. And when they bump into someone that could give them a real deal. Before we get off the West and keep it moving.
Okay.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
And I don't know if this is where you're going. Is there any belief in the Denver Nuggets?
I was going to go to Denver and we could talk Dallas. Which one do you want to talk first?
Let's talk Denver and let's finish on Dallas.
Okay. The Denver Nuggets, Jokic dealing with the calf injury right now.
Yep.
They have been lights out at home all year. They haven't been so tough on the road, but they've still been very good. They've been the number one team in the West, clear, far and away throughout the entire year. A lot of people are scoffing at that a bit because the West is weak.
Sure.
So it's like somebody's got to be number one. So it's the Nuggets. Like that's what it is, right?
They're going to win 54 or 55 games this year. It's nothing to
nothing to sneeze at. No,
exactly.
For sure. Yeah. Jamal Murray has looked like he's back. Played extremely well the other night against the Warriors in the close to come back and close out that game.
Just a house of cards.
Defensively, I don't know, man. They're an interesting squad because, like, in a 7-game series with Jokic pulling the strings, you would think they can keep up with everybody, but they're not getting any love. Where are you at with them?
I feel like it's one of those teams where you.
And when I say get any love, I mean they are number 2 favored to win the West behind Phoenix at plus 330, and then they're almost 200 full odds points, I guess, is for the lack of a better term, above the Warriors at plus 550.
They're getting Vegas love, so I mean that's all that really matters. But they're not getting the national attention as far as like, oh, this is a legitimate contender that everybody should be scared of. Love. The thing with me, like I said, man, it's kind of like you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop with them via injury, because they really are just one. There's multiple guys on their roster who are key, who just tend to get injured, and it's Porter, Gordon, and Murray. Right. And losing any one of those guys is going to be a big problem for them because they need all of them, I think, in order to do what they do. I'm not worried about Jokic. We know Jokic is going to do what he does, but he's been doing what he does for years now, and it doesn't necessarily carry him that far in the playoffs. They need all those guys healthy. The best we saw them, wasn't it in the bubble when it was Murray versus Mitchell?
Yeah,
in that playoff series, and those guys.
Yeah, Murray was going ballistic.
Both of them were going. They're dropping 50 like it was nothing. Bubble ball. I think we should revisit bubble ball in a few years, like on the 10-year anniversary or something, and just look at some of the statistical anomalies of just basketball performance from pure hoopers. Like you talk about Hooper's paradise, like hoopers were just hooping. Shout out your boy TJ Warren, guys like that. But no. I think, that's what you need from them, though. Like, they need Murray to be that type of guy, right? But you need him to be available. They need Michael Porter Jr. to knock down shots. They need him to be a threat from outside, to be a dynamic scorer. They need Aaron Gordon to fill multiple different defensive roles for them, right? Like, he kind of has to play that Draymond switching role for them, and then also still give them 15 to 20 on offense, right? Whether it's through athletic plays and putbacks and things like that. So in order for if those guys are all healthy, then legitimately that squad's an issue, right?
Yeah.
It's just
I
don't believe in
AG's an X factor. AG's
an
X factor.
Yeah,
as
Gordon.
Well.
Yeah. That's why I said Gordon. Yeah, they need Gordon to guard multiple positions and do his thing. Yeah,
they do have some guys that can guard though. Like they're going to be able to throw a lot of dudes at Phoenix,
for sure.
For example, like KCP. They're going to be able to throw AG at people.
For sure.
Would you call Bruce Brown a tough defender?
Bruce Brown's a tough player. He's just a tough guy.
Player.
You know what I mean?
Guy.
It's not like you're watching him and saying, oh, he's the most technical defender, but you know what he is? He's not scared. And a lot of times defense in the playoffs is about not being scared. Like he's going to take the challenge. So I like Bruce Brown. I love Bruce Brown, man. I think he's a solid player. So you're right.
I went to 2 Nets games when he was on the squad, I went to like 2 or 3 Nets games, and in 2 of the 3, he went crazy in both of them. He had like 20 plus in both. Yeah. So shout out Bruce Brown. I got love for Bruce Brown.
Shout out Bruce Brown. They also got Jeff Green, who every once in a while can
Shout
carry
out
an
Jeff
amazing
Green.
performance, been in the league forever
Yeah.
doing his thing. So yeah, I mean, I think, Lute, if they're healthy and they're clicking, they're a tough team to beat because they do got some guys that can stop you, and then offensively they're just so potent. Like you said, at home they're going to throttle you. That altitude gets to you, you don't know how to handle yourself. So for sure, but it's just I understand why nobody believes them because I'm skeptical as well, and to me it just comes down to health.
Yeah. So no, yeah, I think, especially at the price of plus 310, it's not long enough where I would look at taking that. And
yeah, it's not juicy.
I'm taking Phoenix before I even look at the Nuggets. And then
I think that Memphis
I'm off the Warriors. So
plus 600 you said for Memphis, that's the best solid
plus
one.
600 for the Grizzlies, I think is where the money is for
sure.
for multiple reasons that I just laid out. But let's talk about Dallas because
it's a bad ball club.
It's a bad situation. Now, I went on Bet MGM tonight. I don't know if you know Trista Crick, but she's like a betting hoops personality. She knows what she's talking about. She thinks they need to pack up Luka and trade him. They're over the cap. There's no way to add players to that roster that can help him.
That's insane.
So instead of letting him walk, you pack him up and just restart.
Well, he's on the
I said you literally get new popcorn vendors. You move everybody else in the building. That's the only guy that you can't move.
Yeah, exactly. No, you 100% tear it down. First off, you tear it down and you continue to try to build around Luka. And that's why I didn't have a problem with the Kyrie trade. I think it was getting stale over there, and they needed to try to show Luka that they're willing to do whatever to make him happy.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out. It was a bad move from a basketball standpoint.
It was always going to be a tough fit. Yeah,
especially because you're bad at defense, and your solution to that is to get Kyrie Irving.
It's to give up Finney Smith. Give up all your wings and then go get Kyrie.
And just get exponentially worse.
Yeah, Dinwiddie.
So, I mean, it never really made sense from that, but I understand the spirit of it. But no, you just don't re-sign Kyrie. You take it as an L. You say, hey, man, we tried Luka, and now we're going to try to get creative. You just got to be creative. You got to be smart, man. You got to keep trying. You got to keep trying to find the right people to put around them. But I think you hit it last year, right? We hit it at the beginning of this year. At some point, Luka's got to hold himself accountable. Right. Or as an organization, you got to tell them like, hey, look, man, you can't keep showing up like this. Like we were texting about it this morning. I've seen guys show up to seasons out of shape, but generally throughout the course of an NBA season, because basketball is a lot of cardio, you work your way into shape. He, for the second year in a row, we talked about this last year with his fourth quarter numbers, and you brought up all those stats.
Yep.
For the second year in the row, he looks to get more out of shape as the season progresses.
Yeah.
Right. He looks heavier. He looks slower. He looks doughier. And it seems like, that to me, I just don't understand. I don't understand. Not like you have to really try hard to gain bad weight during an NBA season. You know what I mean?
It's also clear he just has also a body type that's going to put weight on.
Sure. And
so he has to be extra careful when he's out.
Yeah. He'll never look like Kawhi, but you know what I mean? He doesn't have to look like that. You know, we've seen guys who, you know, Paul Pierce, for instance, right? Like Paul Pierce never was the most defined fella out there, but I'll never tell you that Paul Pierce was out of shape. We never saw him wear down in games. It's just some guys don't carry definition. They have weird sloppy body types. Like I get that, but like he looks heavy.
He looks out of shape.
You see it in his face. You see it in his arms. Like he just looks heavy.
We were joking around, and I wasn't really joking, but we were, you know how we get. We were just fucking around. We were arguing. Oh, you sent a clip of Luka getting absolutely cooked on D.
Not even just
one of many clips you could pull up, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, this isn't even the worst clip we've seen from Luka. But sincerely, if this dude tried to go two ways, he would pass out. He couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Like he's not in shape enough to go two ways, for real. They're already asking a ton of him on offense, and he's visibly has shown historically that he's gotten tired to close out games. And yeah, he's never going to play D in the condition he's in now. So until he gets, Nick, I swear to God, we've been talking about this for years now, and it still doesn't get enough attention. He's out of shape.
Completely.
He's not in shape.
Not at all.
Like, I don't know what he's doing. Whatever.
Visibly
out of shape.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know when he's going to get serious about that, but that's something that's going to need to change before he ever starts to win MVPs and starts to win multiple playoff series. And we know what he did to Phoenix last year. Yeah. I can appreciate that. But does he need help? Sure.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I don't have any. I love Luka. I love his game. And I would have no problem with him playing zero defense. They just got to get the right people around him. But the body thing, I don't understand. So that kind of bothers me a little bit.
And I wonder if that is why also, Dallas pre-Kyrie at least was one of the slowest teams in the NBA from pace perspective.
Oh, they were
the slowest team. And remember, Kyrie got there and he was like, "What the fuck is this? Like, why do we play so slow? It doesn't make any sense." So I wonder if that has something to do with why they play so slow, which ultimately hurts them, because if you're going to try to play slow, you better be able to play some defense too. Like, so
that's interesting. We're slowing this shit down because I'm tired of the month.
I'm tired as hell. And I wonder. I'd like to see their pace by first half, second half. I'm sure you can pull that up through like synergy and shit like that.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that has to do with it, because obviously playing slow hasn't done them any favors on the defensive end. I think that is a major point. We've been talking about it for years. It's obvious. And again, I'm just baffled by the fact that he gets progressively more out of shape throughout the course of an NBA season, when it should be the opposite. Like, Harden's a great example, right? For years, Harden would show up looking terrible in the beginning of the year, but by game 20, he's fine. He looks great, right?
Yeah.
This guy's the opposite, man. Like, they talked about, he came into this season in better shape. Remember, that was part of the story. Like, oh, Luka came in better shape, and now he looks worse than he did at this point last year. And remember, don't let him miss games with an injury. You pointed that out, too. If he misses 10 days.
Man, he missed 8 games, and he came back, and I was like, this
massive.
Dude. He just like visibly was laboring up the floor. Yep. So yeah, man, that's something that's really interesting.
I get the feeling that Luka might be a bit behind the scenes too. You know how? Yeah, I think he might be a bit of.
I mean, it's clearly. Well, dude, come on, man. He's from the Baltic. Like they kick it.
Baltic.
They like that part of the world. They kick it. Like I get that. I mean, you see Jokic. Like Jokic kicks it too. Like
Jokic's another great guy who's not defined, but he's not out of shape. Yeah, that's how he looks.
Yes, he could be in better shape too. Though
he could be in better shape, but Luka's like doughy.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Jokic, I agree. His face is,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree. So that's something that is going to need to be addressed. And
would you re-sign Kyrie?
No.
Just let him go.
Yeah, no.
I don't think Kyrie wants to be there anyways.
Yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't re-sign Kyrie. I think that was exactly what they wanted to do. The experiment didn't work.
They would try.
And apparently it kind of seems like Luka, they don't even love each other like that.
No.
If you're gonna have a duo, you gotta really rock.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So
Kyrie came in there and was like, "What the hell is this?" And then Luka's looking at Kyrie like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, I mean, listen, Kyrie's not in there mincing words. That's for sure.
Yeah, and Kyrie's been around every great player you can think. He's been around a lot of great players, so he probably goes in there again. Like, remember, he came in there and immediately talked about the pace. He's like, "I don't understand why we play so slow. This doesn't make any sense. Why are we playing so slow?" You know what I mean? So yeah, for sure.
Question for you before we get out of here. We'll close it out on the East. A couple more teams I want to hit you on. What's a successful playoff run for the Knicks? Is it a 7-game series in the first round? Is it a tough, hard-fought series in a loss? Or is it a win? Or is the season already a complete success, all gravy? What's the ceiling for the Knicks? Jalen Brunson.
Next thing they win a playoff series.
Can they beat Cleveland? That's what they're going to play.
So yeah, I think Cody asked how far Cleveland will make it.
Yeah,
that I think will be a very fun series.
Just got 7 games written all over.
It has 7 games literally written all over it, and some really, really, really entertaining games in there. Some really grinded out defensive games that'll be a lot of fun to watch. I think they can beat Cleveland in 7. The issue, I think they can beat Cleveland in 7. Actually, I really do. The Brunson
will have
signing,
the home court too.
when we look at free agent signings outside of like LeBron signing with the Lakers and the Heat, like take out like your super duper stars. But as far as like the best free agent signings over the past like 20 years in the NBA,
He's going to be one of them.
Take out your apex guys. He is clearly the Jalen Brunson signing. What was 4 and 80? Is one of the best signings.
He got
I've ever
100
seen. Or 4, whatever. He should have got 2. It's one of the best signings. Seriously, it's one of the best signings I've seen in any sport in years. Like, talk about a guy who fits perfectly. Like, Tibbs. You're closer to the situation than I am, obviously, but I know Tibbs absolutely loves that guy. Like, I know he loves. Like, he just loves him. You know what I mean? He's 100% his type of player. He fits in perfectly in New York. He fits in perfectly with Randall. Like, if you were to draw up a player to play with Julius Randle, it's Jalen Brunson. So the thing with the Knicks, if they're on, right, and the Garden is rocking, man, it's tough. It's really, really tough.
I mean, they're 3-1 versus them this year.
Yep.
So, yeah,
But Mitchell's best game is still,
Yeah, my fault. I got a little distracted, but my man Stephen A. Smith just walked on the set. Colbert, late night. Stephen A. making the late night rounds.
Stephen A's everywhere, man. Shout out Stephen A.
And so I agree. I mean, Jalen Brunson is going to end up being underpaid, like he already is underpaid. But
I think to answer your question, they do have to win a series for.
That's gonna be a really good series. The Julius Randle piece with the twisted ankle is a bummer because they're dealing with some injuries now because of that. He's trying to work his way back. They're saying he might miss a couple games of the round 1 series. We'll see how that shakes.
Is it that bad?
That's what they're saying. I mean, he just did it a couple days ago, so it'll be. They're saying 2 to 3 weeks.
Well, if he can walk on a Tibbs, going to play.
It's always what's tough is when they say we'll evaluate it in 2 to 3, not like he'll be back. It's like we'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
So that's what they're saying right now. So the 2-week mark will be right around that first round of the playoffs, but it's gonna get interesting, man. The overall NBA is cooking up and the playoffs are here. I'm very excited to see how it shakes. I got a couple futures I got to hold on to. I'm going to cash the Kings to win the Pacific. That's done. I have the Miami Heat to win the Southeast. They're up 2 games with 4 to go. And I don't really feel that great. They're probably going to win.
Yeah.
But I could see those fucking dudes losing all 4.
Yeah, they're the most hit or miss team out there.
But the team chasing them is also completely hit or miss. They're Atlanta.
The Atlanta Hawks for sure. Hey, so where are you on this Bulls resurgence under Pat Bev? Is Pat Bev out here affecting winning like that? He completely changed the team.
I think Pat Bev is affecting winning, but I also think that they started starting Caruso. They started starting their best players.
Yeah.
And Kobe White has been awesome.
Yep. Yeah, Kobe White's been amazing.
Well, he's trying to stay on his team, huh?
Yeah, Kobe White's trying to get a deal.
He's been great.
Get my money.
So, yeah, that's been it's been fun, man. But you know where I'm at. It's almost a shame, man, because they'll probably make the playoffs and then they'll get smoked. But they made the playoffs, and then we're Reinsdorf making the playoffs. Might as well hung a banner.
Yeah.
So. Not a lot of changes happen.
That'll buy you an outfielder.
Not a lot of changes in Chicago happen after you make the playoffs.
No,
it seems to be like, nice.
And this team 100% needs changes. They're going to trot out the same as that group next year.
Yeah, and
Vooch extension coming.
Yeah, and it's funny because
DeRozan extension coming.
Where we're at now, literally half the league in all sports make the postseason.
Yeah.
So I don't even give a fuck about that. It's not even a benchmark for me, really, to be completely honest.
On that note, real quick, sorry. 2 quick questions on this new CBA. Where are you on the 62 games to qualify for an award? Where are you on the 62 games to qualify for an award? I need to know that.
Yeah, I like that.
You
Probably
like
a little short, to be honest.
It was 65. I'm sorry, it's 65, right?
Yeah, 65.
Yeah. So what do you think it should be?
It 70? Is 65.
Yeah, it's 65.
I would love to see 70. But then you're kind of in that they want to give people a little leeway to get hurt.
Yeah.
and be able to get back.
Not load manage, but get hurt.
Yeah, because, for example, I don't know the exact number, but no one has won MVP in the NBA for like the last forever, missing more than like 15 games.
Right.
So that's less than that.
Well, missing 17 games is 20% of the season. So
Yeah,
I mean,
and
they're getting, that's yeah.
And a big knock on Giannis for MVP is because he's missed 16.
I don't give a fuck if he's missed 30.
They don't. that's part of like, you know, that's a knock. That's a knock against his case to win MVP. So yeah, I'm with the 65 games. How do you feel about the All NBAs not having they're positionless now?
Is it completely going positionless?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's in the new CBA.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I'd be worried if I was a big.
I was gonna say
all guards.
I was gonna say there's gonna be a lot of bigs.
You think there's gonna be a lot of bigs?
And like some of these teams are gonna have a lot of bigs on them for sure.
Yeah.
So like the East to be Giannis, you'd have. So like you fuck around.
Is Giannis a big? What is Giannis? Is Giannis? Can we even call Giannis? I think Giannis is he's a
hooper.
I don't know what the fuck. He's a hybrid. He's a big perimeter big man. I don't know what the fuck he is.
You know, like out west, you'd get Jokic
for sure.
AD.
Yep. Triple J.
Yeah, like it'd be like a lot of guys like that. Fucking Zion.
Yeah. No,
you know what I'm saying?
God,
like
Zion.
So it's interesting.
What a disaster.
I mean, we talked about
deal kicks in next year too.
We talked. Nick said on this podcast that he wouldn't have re-signed him.
No,
and the jury's still out on that.
Well, he's never gonna play.
Because, yeah, it's really tough. Because, like, what do you do with a guy when every time he plays, he scores 20 and 19 or whatever, 25 and 8, 25, 8 and 7. And he looks unstoppable, but he never plays.
But you know what? I will say this year, like though he was putting up buckets, it didn't look like it did like in the beginning. Like those injuries are starting to take its toll.
He looked great when he played.
He did, but it's like not last year, but the year before. Like when I feel like there's
he was killing motherfuckers on the glass.
Yeah.
He looked like a force, but he just never plays.
All right, last second CBA is just how do you feel about the end season tournament?
I didn't even get the details on that. I saw that they were trying to give people $500,000.
Yeah, so it'll be an end season tournament. The games will count, so it'll still be 82 games, but it'll count towards those unless you're in the championship, and the championship teams will play 83 games, and then the winning team.
Oh, it'll count. The 82 counts towards the full season.
It counts towards your season, unless you play, and then the championship will be an extra game. So you pay 83.
What kind of tournament style is it? What is it?
It's a knockout.
Single elimination.
Single elimination.
Single elimination. Champions League, basically.
It's pretty much champion. It's what it is. Yeah, it's the fucking Carabao Cup or the FA Cup.
Yeah, FA Cup.
They're doing an FA Cup in the middle of the year, and then so you know you're incentivized because it can still help your playoff positioning, obviously.
Yeah.
And then you get the $500,000 per. I like it. You know what I like about Adam Silver? He says fucking and tries.
He tries stuff.
I'm gonna try some shit.
He's not afraid to try stuff.
I'm gonna play in, sure.
The play-in is an absolute big hit.
I think it's great.
It's a massive hit for me.
Look how many teams don't tank when they're in that 10 spot, right? Like and that's what he wanted. He wanted to say, hey, don't tank. You can still get a chance to get some postseason dollars.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
He tries a lot of shit, man.
Yeah, he does. He's with the flexibility of the shit. So yeah, I'm not mad. He's changing names and stuff like awards and does a lot of different things with the All-Star game. Yeah,
sure.
I like his approach.
You like
the in-season tournament is cool because we're familiar with soccer, and I think that changes and like puts a little different pace on stuff.
And guys will want to win, right? So I mean,
get the inaugural. I think the $500,000 is interesting.
Well, maybe what? Actually, I don't know if it's single elimination because you have to play all 6. You have to play those 6 games. So maybe it's a round robin for that. I got to check how that because you can't if you get knocked out, you're not going to you still got to play 82. Maybe it goes to a consolation bracket or something. I don't know, but I know that there's 6 games, and then the 7th one is going to be a championship. So those teams will play 83.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave it there. Glad we could get an episode up before I get out of here. I'm off this week, so I'm gonna go chill out. For Big Nick the Quick, I'm your host, Sean Little. Make sure you subscribe everywhere, man. No Catch Up Podcast. This is, man, we've been doing this for almost 6 years now. Tell the homies to tell a friend to tell a friend. We always have fun week in, week out. We'll see y'all next time. No Catch Up. Sports Talk via Chicago. Let's go.